Hi everyone, my name is Katarina. I go by Kat, and I started off by being a student advisory board member with Empower, and I was doing some work through there with other students, and then I got reached out by another team member asking me if I wanted to actually work on the team. And they said that they heard about my work on the board and asked if I wanted to contribute and be a team member since I could provide a really good perspective and give them some feedback on things and also help out. And I definitely agreed to that. And I'm really grateful to be working on the team.
Can you share about your experience in this role?
This is a contract job, so I work about 2 to 5 hours a week. About it could be as less as two, as more as five, as long as it's in that range. So yeah, it is. It's pretty flexible, which is a good like pro to contract work. Also, is I can kind of design like my schedule and kind of figure out like when I want to work. I think you got to have some good discipline when it comes to that, but I figure that out and I can work in that range. And the other thing about this that makes this a contract job is that it does have an end date.
What supports help you in this role?
So to begin to the very start, this is very new to me. I've never had like a legal job, so I didn't really know what to expect. Specifically on onboarding, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of emails being sent to me, a lot of new things, and I had to navigate different emails and creating things, passwords, just a lot to keep track of, and a lot of different things coming from different directions. And I was also obviously in school and managing other things. So it was definitely a lot more than I personally expected. So I was really grateful that I was in contact and had a really good relationship with someone on my transition services team. So I was always going to her and she was willing to always sit with me as much as as much as I needed, and she was very kind to support me in anything I needed with that. But I was also in constant communication with the employer through the university that I was hired, and I was always emailing back and forth and asking questions to see like what do I need to do next? What's my next step? And also having that, but also plus having the person I was sitting with, having her kind of scribe things for me to keep things on track, and also just being my eyes to proofread something if like important legal documentation that's being written. It's a legal job, so there's things that had to be filled out, so having another extra set of eyes to make sure I wrote things down correctly, and when filling things out, I was super helpful. Again, all of this is new to me, including the platforms I'm using, like anything Microsoft. I am a Google person through and through. That's what I'm used to, and so I have the layout of Google things more memorized in my brain. So it took me a minute to realize, like, okay, I'm gonna have to learn how to navigate all of this. So I was very grateful to have really great support system with the people that I'm working with, and they would sit with me and figure it out. If like, how can I use this? We'll memorize some accessibility tricks with different platforms like Teams and Word and PowerPoint, since I'm making many projects with those platforms. So I had someone either figure it out with me, or I would always be reaching out with questions. That's my big thing, is reaching out and asking, hey, I can't figure this out. What's the trick for this? Or, just meeting virtually with somebody on the team to help me navigate how to use these platforms. And that was my big thing that I'm really grateful that I've had supports on.
What advice would you give to others who are considering this type of employment?
To go back to where I was talking about contract work, but also just in general, like onboarding, it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to get sent to you. So you're going to have multiple emails, different things to get through. So something that I would say is make sure that you have like an organized system. And I personally wish that I had more. I figured that out before, but I'm grateful I had a person who was working with me. But I know that if I was doing this more independently, I would have to figure out and create a list. I think that's something that I started doing recently, is creating lists to keep me on track of what I'm doing, because it is going to be a multi-step process of, signing in. There's going to be different like accounts you're creating, usernames, everything, and just websites, or some things might not be as accessible or something. Like there's going to be a lot you're going to have to navigate. So I would recommend keeping everything organized, everything in one place, take notes and have lists. And also just in general, like reach out to people, ask questions, make sure that you are in communication with the employer, anyone in your network, anybody. If you want someone to proofread something, like I think that is something I will always, always, always rely on, like, no matter what, even though this was like my first time, I think in the future, like, yes, I'll be more independent, but I'm going to still ask somebody, a trusted person in my life, for help to proofread something if I'm filling out like legal information. Yeah, just having some, not being afraid to ask questions and ask for supports. Also, I think in general, like, you're a young person and you have to think about school and work, and just, everybody has a lot going on and there's a lot to manage. So something that I would recommend that I'm slowly learning to do myself is being in the present moment of what you're doing right now. Like, don't overthink about something that you have to do later. Focus on one task at a time, literally one little step at a time. That really, really helps in just being in the present moment. The final thing I will say, for not only just a contract job, for really any job, make sure that you're working in an environment that you feel supported, respected, and your values, your perspectives, and what you have to say is being taken seriously and people value your time. And, I feel very, very supported. I truly just feel like my ideas are being taken seriously, my perspectives, and people really listen to me and respect my time and my value and thank me all the time for what I do. And I think being in the good environment is just makes it even better and really great. So, yeah.